how would I define the voting system?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it depends, of course, on what kind of race you're talking about, whether it's a state race or a national.
Any of them.
Well, I would describe the voting system obviously as democratic. Registered voters over 18. Relatively few limitations to who can vote, although people do have to step up to register themselves. You're not automatically part of the voting in many states, although I think that differs from state to state as to how you register. And I think in Washington it's relatively quick because your registration is tied to your driver's license, or that's one way you can register. So.
Mm. Educated would you think, like, let's just say our country, the U.S., is when it comes to voting?
Not very.
Why?
A couple of reasons. One, I think most of the time the only interaction that the vast majority of our country has with the voting system is when they learn about basic civics. Sometimes they learn about that in grade school, right? Sometimes they have a more in-depth look at it when they get to a high school. And usually that's the last time, I would argue, that most people think about it, right? Because they're living their lives and they're doing the things that they need to do, and it doesn't affect, they don't feel that it affects their daily lives. And I understand all of that, right?
Would you say that voting matters in a more modern society?
Yes, I definitely think. I think it matters more now than ever. I know it can feel as though it doesn't matter, especially sometimes in states in which some elections are fairly lopsided, and that can lead people to say, "I'm not going to bother. My vote won't make a difference." But I think the act of voting is really important.
It's 1:47 p.m. right now on May 4th. It's Friday in 2018, and today we're going to register to vote. Okay, so it says there's 3 ways. Online, you can register 24 hours a day. By mail, you can download and print a voter registration, and in person at one of our locations. Let me read off the requirements. A citizen of the United States, a legal resident of Washington State, at least 18 years of old by election day, which I am, not disqualified from voting due to a court order, not under Department of Corrections supervision for a Washington felony conviction. Pull out my driver's license. Right here. Start a new registration. Driver's license ID. So I just completed my registration. It is now 1:52 p.m. It says, "Thank you. We've received your application successfully. You'll receive your voter registration card in the mail from your county when processing is complete." I'm registered.
Do you think there was any information required by that form that wouldn't be available to people of lesser, let's say, economic status?
Well, if someone, let's say a poor person in Seattle, wouldn't have the tools required to go on the internet, like an iPhone or an iPad or a laptop, then this would be hard because they don't have the options. I believe you can go to a library to use one of their computers to register, but even still, if you don't have a driver's license or an ID card, I'm assuming you would have an ID card on you, but it still asks for the driver's license. If you don't have one, that can also be an issue as well. It also asks the personal info and identification, that where your address is. If a homeless person doesn't have a permanent home, they could technically use a fake address. It was easy for me, but I can definitely see how it's harder for anyone else.
Do I vote? Yes. Yeah. In Washington, I pretty much vote in every election. One of the reasons that I really like the system here is that the voting by mail makes that easy to do. You don't have to wake up on the specific polling day, go somewhere, cast your vote.
Feel your left hand free and your right hand grip with another left hand watches right and slip. Schwartz is gone.
So what are we doing today, Drew?
We're driving to Seattle. We're gonna park somewhere in downtown, and basically the goal is to see how hard it is to register to vote with no prior knowledge of the system, no phone, no map, no nothing, and once we park, no car.
All right.
It's currently about 8:50 a.m. See how long this takes. Hi, excuse me, are you okay if you ask me a few questions for a school project we're filming?
We're actually waiting for Ubers.
Oh, okay. Don't worry about it. We could register to vote.
No, I don't.
Okay. Gotcha. Thank you. Have a good day.
Oh, you know what? My English is not so good.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you anyway.
No problem. So far everyone we've talked to has either had no idea or can't speak English. So we're gonna go try out the public library. And it is 9 a.m.
It's closed.
I mean, I don't know how you would do it on a Sunday, but I think you go online and do it. And then also you can go to City Hall. I think you can go to the post office.
Do you know where City Hall is?
Yeah, City Hall is on 4th Avenue. So one street that way, and about 5 streets that way. It's on the left.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right,
Thank
good
you.
luck.
All right, the fact that we came on a Sunday may hurt us a little bit, but we at least have a lead, so we're gonna head over to City Hall. A lot of people also seem to be recommending that we just go and do it online, but for the purposes of this experiment, we're pretending that the phone in my pocket doesn't exist. Okay, here we are at City Hall. By all appearances, it is closed. City Hall is closed, the public library is closed, and I believe every post office is closed. So we're a little bit stuck. 10:20, we've been out here for I believe an hour and a half. A lot of people wouldn't talk to us, a few did, but all the leads we were given led to places that are closed on Sundays. So we're gonna cut it at an hour and a half for today and come back on another day and see how much longer it takes. We're back. It's about 3:20 on Friday, and we're headed straight to City Hall. Hi, I was wondering if I could register to vote. Is it just this form right here? Awesome.
Did you get your Washington driver's license?
I do, yes.
Oh, you do have one?
Yeah. If someone didn't have an ID, and how did they figure out what their social security number was if they didn't have that information on them?
They would have to provide their last four digits of their social. So
Where
most
can you go to?
most of the people, they know their social number.
They know their social.
Yeah.
If people don't have a permanent address, where would you send like the materials for voter registration?
I mean, if they're homeless,
Yeah, if they're homeless.
then they would provide like the shelter address. Like the one in Seattle. It's like the 77 Washington Street. So if they stay at that address, then they send it there.
Is this basically it until the elections? Nothing else I need to do?
So you should receive all the election materials to your address you provided.
In the mail. I was actually surprised by how easy that was. I mean, definitely we saw when we were registering online for Spencer how easy it was, but going in and asking questions like what would happen if I don't live at a permanent address or if I don't have my driver's license, I thought it might be more difficult, more time consuming to get my voter registration materials than it actually was. I mean, to me, I didn't see any automatic places where I thought they could have changed this and made it easier for people who don't have the same resources that we do. I thought they did a very good job of handling it, and it was not intimidating or hard to access in any way.
It's so easy to vote here that I think I miss virtually no elections, and that wasn't always true in other states. Sometimes the election didn't seem important enough to, especially for small primaries or things of that nature, that to get out and do it.
I'm more worried about the folks who have the opportunity to enter the system to change it the way that they want it to look, right? And that's just the cycle, right? I mean, people sitting in my seat before this, or when I was in your seat, were saying the same things, right? I think the reason why I want to focus on young people is I really feel like there's energy, there's untapped potential and energy there to make important and fundamental changes.